Hey guys, what's going on? Today I want to go over how you can start investing in electric vehicle stocks. Over the past few years, the EV sector has been growing very rapidly, and it's kind of impossible to keep up with it as new technology keeps growing and more companies keep showing up out of nowhere. So I'm making this video to make sure you fully understand the industry and the stocks behind it before you start to invest. Now before we get into anything else, if you wouldn't mind supporting me as a new creator by hitting that like button, click subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new content. I post new videos weekly, and it would mean the world to me if you did. And if you are new to this channel, I do have a monthly giveaway. All you have to do to sign up is go to the first video of the month, and from there just comment, like, and subscribe, and you're entered. It is super easy to enter, so do it now. So I'm going to be breaking this video up into different sections, and the first one I want to go over is what is an electric vehicle? Well, an electric vehicle is very similar to how a regular car works, except it runs completely on electricity. What this means is a regular car usually runs off of gasoline for the engine, whereas an electric vehicle runs off of batteries or a series of batteries. Some of the benefits of owning an electric vehicle is lower emissions and a lower cost to maintain it. And once you need to charge the car, it's super easy to do. You can either do it from home and plug it in right there, or there are a bunch of charging stations all around the globe that you can use and charge your car. Now, it may be annoying to some people that are used to regular cars, as most regular cars only take a minute or two to fill up the tank, but when you're ready to charge the electric vehicle, it may take several hours, depending on what kind of charging station you may be at. There are fast chargers out there for certain vehicles that do have that technology, but some of those electric vehicle companies don't really have that technology yet, so it kind of is still a disadvantage, but most of them are adapting to it and having that new technology. Now, speaking in terms of mileage, most electric vehicles have about the same distance as a regular car has as well, but a lot of the new technology in the batteries are making them get even farther distances each time a new model comes out. Whereas gas engines aren't as efficient, so electric will become even better. Now, one of the biggest issues this industry faces is their cost prices. Most electric vehicles are significantly higher priced than a regular car would be, and that's because the technology is still very expensive. And the reason why they're so expensive is because we've been making regular cars for a very long time, and this is a new technology that needs to gain market share. So until it gains that bigger market share, the prices are still going to be significantly higher, but the more widely accepted it gets, the lower the prices will eventually get. So the next part I want to go over is what types of electric vehicles are out there. Now, there are primarily only around two different versions. You have fully electric and then you have a hybrid. The difference between the two is one is fully electric and the hybrid runs off of electricity and also gas. Now, a hybrid vehicle is much more efficient than a regular gas vehicle, but it's still not as good as an electric vehicle as it still relies on that gas. A great example of what a hybrid vehicle would be is a Prius. Now, a bunch of companies build their hybrids differently. Some have larger capacity for gas and less electric, or some have more electric than gas. It just really depends. But when you compare them to a fully electric vehicle, they are nowhere in comparison as good as the electric vehicle is. Now, the next part I want to go over is 5 companies that either build electric vehicles or they are in the electric vehicle sector. I'll also go over what some of the recent developments these companies are working on for right now and the future. So the first one I want to go over is Tesla. Of course, it is the top company right now for electric vehicles in the entire market. Now, Tesla started production of their electric vehicles back in 2008 with the Tesla Roadster. Now, Tesla has been expanding more and more, building new gigafactories which can produce more cars and batteries than they ever could before. Now, the benefit of the gigafactories is that they will be able to produce the batteries in-house, so that way they don't have to transport the vehicles and the batteries. So it's all done in one building, and this is very crucial for Tesla to ramp up their production for their cars. And on top of that, it will lower the cost of building the car and will bring the market price down as well. So moving on to NIO, they are a Chinese company that has started to produce electric vehicles since last year. Their concept is very similar to Tesla making an electric vehicle, except they want to be able to swap out the batteries underneath the car in a more efficient way than Tesla could. And the way they want to do that is with battery charging stations that are located around the globe. So all you have to do is just drive up to a location, put your car into it, it'll change the battery for you, and you're done. It's a great way to change the battery as well as expanding the technology, so that way you can get new upgrades when they come out. And they have also been ramping up production on their new sedan model, so that should be some pretty big news once they ramp up more production for it. Now, the next company I want to go over is a company called Plug Power. They focus on electric vehicle parts, not the vehicles themselves. Their company focuses on making fuel cells that are cost effective and have zero emission. This company has a lot more potential, I think, than some of these electric vehicle makers, as the sector is growing more and more, and the batteries will be needed for other things other than these electric vehicles. So this is a very good long-term hold stock. Now the next one I want to go over is the company Churchill Capital and Lucid Motors. They are two different companies, of course, but they are very much the same because of a merger that they went through. Lucid Motors is making an electric vehicle, whereas Churchill Capital, they are more of an investor in the company. But both of these companies have a lot going on, as the investment from Churchill is very significant for Lucid to start producing their cars, which will be producing this year. So both of these companies have a lot of potential in the next coming years. And the last company I want to go over is GM and Ford. I kind of just put them together because they're both American companies and we both know them. They've been making cars since like the 1900s, and they are starting to dip into the electric vehicle sector. Now there isn't really a lot of information about this yet. They are still kind of in the works with what they're making, but we've seen a lot more news about GM dipping into that market. So we'll see who kind of gets there first and who does it better. Alright, so the next part I want to go over is investing into these electric vehicle companies. So like I was referencing before, there's a bunch of different companies out there that are all in different electric vehicle sectors. So some produce cars, some produce some parts for those cars, some just mine for those parts for those cars. So there's a very big industry within it. So most people in this sector really only focus on the electric vehicle side of it. There are people that focus on the other parts of the sector, but most people focus on the vehicles as they find them the most important part of it and the biggest market share, which would be Tesla. So one of the biggest things you can do when starting to invest in these companies is check the news and the catalysts. Most of these stocks move heavily off of these catalysts, and they can either just skyrocket or they can drop off the entire map. It's kind of insane how big these catalysts can really mean to these stocks, because it's not really just about the fundamentals of the stock and the company, but there's a lot of hype behind those as well. And I say this because the EV sector is really hot still, and I think in the next few years it's going to get even more hotter and popular, and people are really going to just hype up the space even more. And I say catalysts are so important because look at what happened with Nikola. They were such a hyped stock. You know, everyone thought they were going to be like the next Tesla, or like not as good but pretty good or even better. So look what happened to them. They had such good news and catalysts, and it kept going up and up, and then they just got tanked and destroyed because of a bunch of catalysts that were fake. And so you can't always believe what you read, so you have to verify that as well. But you know, there are a bunch of new companies that pop up each day in the EV sector, so you have to be very careful. Another really good tip is to make sure that the stock isn't overbought or oversold. You can check that with the relative strength index. You definitely want to get a good deal, even if you are looking for a longer term hold. Getting a good price is very important, because it may take several months or years for that price to, you know, go up. So if you buy in at a high and then it dips and then it just goes back to that high and it stays at that high, you're really not making a profit, and you've already held it for a year or two, so what's the point? Alright, so the last part I want to go over is where this industry will be going in the next 5 to 10 years. I believe we're going to see a lot of big innovations happening in this industry really soon. We've already seen a lot the past few years, so it's likely we're going to see them coming up really soon. And I think what we're going to see is a lot of cost effectiveness happening, where we'll get a lot of price reduction on these models, as well as we're going to see them become a lot more efficient as companies keep doing research with batteries, making them even more compact and more efficient. They will be able to hold a longer charge, which means you will ultimately have a longer vehicle charge as well. And once we see that happen, we'll see the industry kind of shift over from gasoline cars to having more electric vehicles, and that'll kind of not decease them. They will stay around for a while, I'm sure, as there are collectors and people that just don't believe in electric vehicles, but majority of the sector will go into electric vehicles, and that market share will change drastically. Now, a part of where the industry is going to be going in the next few years, I want to go over some of the incentives that you can get from purchasing an electric vehicle. Now this depends on what state you live in and what company you buy the car from. So for example, if you live in California, you can get a tax credit of up to $7,000 if you purchase an electric vehicle. And that's just for California. Some other states offer different initiatives and prices. I'll try and find a link and put in the description below for all the other states. But there's some other initiatives that the federal government offers as well as some of these companies do offer initiatives for purchasing their car, whether it's a rebate or some kind of credit. Now these initiatives are very important because a lot of these states right now are trying to go to a cleaner, energy efficient state. So what that means is, I believe California by 2030 or 2035, they're trying to be completely electric. And that's very important for the electric vehicle market because these initiatives probably will go away more and more as they become more energy efficient. Because they won't become an initiative, it'll become a priority and you won't really have a choice. So really now is a good time to purchase one of those vehicles in the next coming years. And a bunch of other states will follow this model. I believe New York is following that model soon as well. Probably not by 2030, but a little farther away. So the more and more that happens, the more we'll see the market grow even more. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this whole electric vehicle movement. What's your favorite electric vehicle stock or just favorite electric vehicle? And before you go, if you haven't already, support me as a new creator by hitting that like button, click subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new content. Remember, I post new videos weekly. It would mean the world to me if you did. And also, if you haven't signed up for that monthly giveaway, remember it's super easy to do. Just go to the first video of the month. From there, just comment, like, and subscribe, and you are entered. It is so easy to do. You should just do it now. Seriously.